Besides earnest money, what other payments are needed to secure a new construction contract? What is the design process like to secure certain materials, and what would the costs look like? When would we be able to check out the property? During the time it's built or closer to when it's completed? What exactly is the design center deposit? Is it an extra fee on top of the sales price, or is it built in? Will I have access to different images of the types of elevations that I could choose from? Do I need a realtor to help me in purchasing a new construction home? Short answer to that is yes, and we'll go over in more detail. Bottom line, what is the full rundown on buying a new construction home? Well, you came to the right channel if you haven't been here before, because this video is the ultimate step-by-step guide to buying a new construction home here in the state of Georgia, especially here in Metro Atlanta. My name is Tim Trevathan with Tim Trevathan Homes. I got a different background today. This is actually my backyard, and today it's sunny and it's incredibly beautiful, so I had to do something outside. So just a change of scenery. And guys, I've done a lot of videos on new construction, just giving you the ins and outs of model homes, the breakdown of earnest money, how to secure a contract. But you know, I did some thinking. I realized I shared bits and pieces of the process in those videos over the course of the last 2 years, but I've never actually sat down with you guys and just gone over the entire process, step by step, beginning to end, in sheer detail. You guys are in luck because this is the video, and I'm gonna go over it in very much detail that hopefully you won't wanna go anywhere else to find it. All right, so what is the process like with buying a new construction home? I've had several clients that have bought new construction homes here in Georgia, and they are very happy clients. And for a lot of them, it's the first time that they ever bought a new construction home, and for others, it's the first time they ever bought a home, period. So there's a lot of nerves and emotions that go into purchasing a home. You can imagine what that's like if you've already bought a home and this is the second time that you're trying to buy. Whatever journey you're on, this is the video for you. So here we go. So you say, Tim, I want to buy a new construction home. What's the first step? So basically, what I do as a buyer's agent representing my buyer is I go and make phone calls to all these new construction home builders and say, hey, look, can you please email me a list of your current move-in ready inventory, move-in meaning 30 days or less, sometimes 45 days or less, and what are your inventory for the next 3 to 6 months with their completion times. Of that inventory sheet, I will provide to my client. You will see a list of the types of home sites, the floor plans, which will include the bedroom and bath type, and the lot size, as well as the square footage size of the actual home. And of course, the price of the home. One thing that I get a lot from buyers that are working with me on new constructions, they'll go and see on the websites of these home builders and say, hey, Tim, I saw the price of this single family home in Suwanee, Georgia, priced at $650,000. But when they find out that the final price is $700,000, they're baffled and confused. Why is that? Because a lot of times when you see the home on the website, it does not include and does not account for lot premium and upgrades. So with lot premium, that has to do with the size of the lot, the direction of the lot, where the house is facing, if you're to look from the front door, and topography of the land of that lot. So it could be hilly, it could be flat. So there's or it could be an in-unit if it's a townhome. All those things dictate the lot premium. That normally is not part of what you see on the website, which is the base price. That could be anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000, depending on the builder, the city, where it's located, and again, just the lot itself. The other thing is upgrades. Upgrades, a lot of times, are not included in that price. So how does upgrades work? All right, so let's take a step back before we get to that point. When you try to secure a contract with a new construction builder, home builder, the way that that works is similar to a resale. You ask for the lot. If it's available, you say, I'm interested in that lot, and you want a contract. With resale, typically you put an offer on the house and see if the seller accepts it. Either they're gonna accept it, reject it, or counter your offer within 24 hours. With a new construction build, more often than not, I would say 90% of the time, you're going to ask for a sample contract that they can give you. You look over it, and you can either meet them there in person and go over it literally page by page by page. That could take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, because new construction contracts can be anywhere from 30 to 85 pages long, when it's usually about 18 pages long for a resale. So you want to make sure that you're able to look at it beforehand, and then I'd say double check with the builder by having the sales agent on site go over it with you, with me there with you. And the reason why is because I like to look at all the verbiage and language on the contract. So one of those things that is a special stipulation that you definitely want to check out is an escalation clause. An escalation clause with a resale is different from a new construction. With a resale, an escalation clause means that you're putting in an offer, but you're willing to go a higher offer than your original offer if another offer comes in higher than yours. And then you have the ability to put a cap so it doesn't go higher than a certain amount. That is a great strategy to get your offer accepted in a resale. An escalation clause with a new construction contract is completely different. This is more of a protection for the builder, where they say from the time you go under contract to the time the home is completed, normally in Georgia 5 to 6 months. During COVID delays, massive backlog of materials, it could take anywhere from 8 to 12 months, even 15 months. I bought a new construction home and it took 11 months to close. We went under contract in December of 2020 and then closed on the home in November of 2021. Now you're looking at more around, I'd say 7 to 8 months is the norm now these days. So anyway, from the time you go under contract to say it takes 8 months, the market could appreciate. And the builders want to be able to cash out on that. To protect themselves with the market appreciating, they put in a stipulation that says, with my escalation, you agree to pay the adjusted appreciated value of the home as the new purchase price, or they will give you the option to back out and get your earnest money back in full, which is great so that you're not losing out. But it also puts you in a bind where you're like, okay, I'm buying this house for this price, but I might end up paying more if I want to keep it later. The good news is that I have not seen an escalation clause since 2021, back when the market was extremely hot. All right, so there's that. So once you go over it with the builder, or if we want to just independently go over it together, me and my buyer, either way, once we've agreed to all the terms, we then have them send us a DocuSign version after we see the sample version, and we sign off electronically. Sign, all the addenda, the exhibits, and then the contract itself. And then we're under contract. Are we? Well, that's the first step, signing the contract. The second step is depositing the earnest money. Now, I've seen people sign a contract and not deposit the earnest money, and technically they're not under contract, and another buyer can swoop in. So you wanna have that money ready. And earnest money, typically with a resale, is about 1% of the purchase price. In a competitive market, could be 1.5%. I've seen as much as 2%. With new construction, you're putting a lot more down for earnest money. It could be anywhere from, I've seen it as low as $3,000, believe it or not, but typically in this market, it's anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. Some builders like Toll Brothers will ask for $50,000. Providence Group could be $30,000. Some other builders, maybe not as demanding areas in which people want to live, could be as little as $10,000. Chafin Communities was one that did that. So you need to have that money up front. It's typically wired. You can do an earnest money check, but more builders these days are doing a wire, so make sure you provide that information for a wire. And basically you go to your bank and you take care of it. Tell the banker and they know what to do. Now, another question I get is, well, what about incentives, Tim? Are there incentives in new construction homes, and how can I get them? All right, so good question. So with incentives, almost every builder has one, and it usually comes from the lender side, sometimes from the builder side. You've got what's called a preferred lender. All right, so this is another topic we need to talk about, not just the incentives. Sorry, it's windy again. But if you can go with their preferred lender, or you can go with your lender, also called an outside lender in their eyes. There's no harm or foul in going with an outside lender. So here's the pros and cons. With the preferred lender, the pro is that they will give you an incentive. It could be 5,000 credit towards your closing costs. It could be 10,000 credit towards your closing costs. It could be 5,000 towards your closing costs and then a 5,000 lowering on the price of the home. Or it could be 10,000 in flex money where you can use towards either one of any amount as long as it equals up to 10,000. I see some builders doing 30,000 flex money. And I've seen some where they do a buy down of the interest rate where there's a 2-1 buy down, where basically they pay the money to buy down your rate, where it's a full 2 percentage points lower on your first year, and then 1% lower on your second year. And assuming you're doing a 30-year fixed mortgage, then the remainder of the 28 years is your market rate. So let's say the current interest rate is 7%. Your first year will be 5%, second year will be 6%, and the remainder 28 years will be 7%. Now, this is one of the great incentives with new construction, which they weren't always offering, but because of home prices having gone up, the affordability issues we have with the interest rate, that new home builders are incentivizing people to go with them because of these rate buy downs. Now that's the pro with a lender such as a preferred lender with the builder. What is the con with a preferred lender? I have seen delays that come from them where they can't close you on time. Sometimes I see that if you look on like Yelp or Google, the mortgage company itself will have its own review site that you can go to and see, and they'll have like 1 or 2 star reviews all over because of lack of communication in the process, not understanding the process, and then them not explaining it to you. Taylor Morrison Home Loans was one of them. But everybody has a different experience. I had one that did go with Taylor Morrison. They took the chance and when it ended up going well. So that's the pro and con of preferred lender. And also, by the way, if the preferred lender delays, there's no penalty to you because it's the preferred lender that the builder is connected with. With an outside lender, what is the benefit with them? Okay, so the pro for an outside lender is the interest rate could be lower. And honestly, this is almost always the reason why you would want to go with an outside lender if you know that you can get a lower interest rate. Now, I will say, and I do this with all my buyers that are looking for new construction or just buying in general, is to get pre-approved with a mortgage lender and to do it with my lender or just an outside lender that maybe you know of first. Then later you can get a pre-approval with the home builder if you want to get their incentive, tap into their incentive. Now you might be saying, well, Tim, man, that's gonna be a credit query, a hard credit pull twice. It's gonna make my credit score drop. Contrary to popular belief, it does not drop as much as you think, if any at all. I think it's up to 3 or 4 inquiries where the credit bureaus will start to notice that you're shopping for a home. And so if you've gotten a few credit checks in a short amount of time, they'll see the reason why. So contrary to popular belief, it does not affect your credit score as much as you think. Plus, you can do a soft pull with my lender or an outside lender, and they won't even affect your credit score. Why would you want to do this? Because first you want to see how much you get pre-approved for so that you're not looking at a new construction community. For example, I had one lady call me, very sweet lady. She was looking around the 500,000 price point. Based on her income and credit, she thought she could afford this. But after quickly finding out her income with the current interest rate, with the amount of money that she has for a down payment, she could only qualify for 350,000. We were able to find that out very quickly by having my buyer call my lender to find that out, so that she wasn't wasting her time looking at these other new construction communities. Now she's saving up so that, and hopefully with her disability, being able to come back to work to get her extra 40% of her income back by next year, she'll qualify for that 500 price range that she's been looking at. Now, what is the con with an outside lender? You might not get the incentive that the preferred lender gives. And also, if they delay on the loan, you won't get the protection. Most of the time in new construction contracts, anytime that your outside lender causes the delay in closing, it could be subject to a penalty of, say, $150 to $200 per day, every day after the closing date. Has that happened to any of my clients? No. Another good question you may be asking is, well, what is the percentage of your buyers, Tim, that you've worked with that have used a preferred lender versus an outside lender? I would say it's about 50-50. And really it boils down to the interest rate. Another thing to think about though, you still can ask for a credit with the outside lender, see if they can match it or beat it. Match or beat the preferred lender's incentive. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But at least see, because again, the rate could be high, could be lower with them. And then here's the other thing. You also want to really look at the fee sheet with the closing cost with the preferred lender, because sometimes there can be an illusion where you think that the interest rate's lower with them, even with the buy down, but then they have these other hidden fees that come out to be greater as far as like loan origination costs, things like that, where your closing costs come out to be more. All right, so now we're at the under contract process. We've already chosen which lender we want to work with. We've looked at the contract ourselves and we agree with it. We've deposited our earnest money and we know how much it is. What next, Tim? All right, so that's a lot just for that initial process. So now you're in the contract to close process. It could be anywhere from 6 to 8 months closing time, unless if you have one that's a move-in ready home, which usually means like 30 days out, then that's great. The negative with that though is that usually it'll be too late to choose your design options, and that's the next step we're going to talk about is design options and design center appointment. So the beauty of new construction, one of the reasons why people love to go with it is because you can customize your home. You cannot do that with the resale. You can, but it's money out of pocket after closing, versus with new construction, it's money that's tacked onto the sales price that's built into your loan, so you don't really have to alter much with money coming out of your pocket, except for just a little bit based off of your down payment percentage amount. Based off of the sales price. So how does the design center work and the design options? All right, so come here, Lawrence. Oh look at my dog. He's here wanting to play with me. Lawrence. He's like, get away from me or play, one or the other. All right, so, oh, there he is. He's got the Frisbee. Go, Lawrence. All right, so let's use a real life scenario. A home, the Scarlet floor plan at Ashton Woods Encore community in Duluth, Georgia. Got a client that's under contract with one of those lots. And basically he was told that the base price of the home is $594,900, okay? $594,900 with a lot fee of $6,000 plus a structural fee of $5,000 plus an elevation fee of $7,200. So the total comes out to $613,100. And so 10% of that price is the earnest money. So believe it or not, the earnest money for this one was $61,310. Yes, that's a lot. I do want to take a step back. Man, there's so much new construction. It's so easy to get scatterbrained with this topic. But speaking of earnest money and the way new construction contracts work, one thing to watch out for, all right? Yes, you're buying a new home. It's going to be updated with the latest trends. You won't have to do any repairs probably for at least the first 5 to 7 years on anything related to the house, whether it's HVAC, roof, water heater, appliances, whatever, so forth. And you got that 1-year home warranty to protect you where they do anything, come out and do it for free. However, in a contract for new construction, you don't have a due diligence period per se. You will have the right to inspect, but you inspect later on. But the part to really be aware of is there's no appraisal contingency. Now, if you know anything about how buying a home works, you can offer hypothetically $1 million to a home, but the seller's not going to get $1 million, and you won't have $1 million to give because the bank's not going to loan you that money unless if it appraises for that amount. So let's say the home price for this one again is $613,100. But the appraisal comes back at $590,000, then that is what, $23,100 short of the purchase price? Well, what happens in that case? Either in the resale, traditionally in a resale home, if you have an appraisal contingency, it protects you where if the appraised value comes in lower and you try to renegotiate with the seller to have them lower the price, but they're not willing to, your contingency allows you to back out, terminate the contract, get your earnest money back in full without penalty, and go out and look at other homes. Construction contract, you don't have that. There's no appraisal contingency, so you're basically telling yourself and the builder that I'm willing to pay the difference in the appraised value versus the purchase price if the appraised value comes in lower. Now, the question you might be asking, well, how often does that happen, Tim? I would say with about 20 new construction homes that I've sold in the last 7 years, aside from resales and listings, it was about 80%. It came back appraised at or above the sales price. So that's pretty good. The other 20%, yes, they did have to pay the difference. And the smallest amount was $3,000. The biggest amount was $18,000, okay? So be aware of that. All right, so now going back to design options. So Design Center, you will get a call from the builder, maybe a separate department for Design Center, another specialist that's involved in the process will call you and say, all right, we're going to schedule a Design Center appointment on this date, and it can happen anywhere from 2 weeks after the new construction contract is formed to 2 or 3 months later. Typically, it's just a couple weeks after. And the reason why is because they have to get your check mark on all the materials that you want chosen ahead of time so that they can order them from the supplier so that they can come in on time so that they can be on track with the timeline of closing on the home on the expected closing date that's already put in your contract. And a lot of times that is a flexible date. It's not set in stone, so it could change over time, unlike a resale, which you have the closing date already set ahead of time in your offer. Not done yet, because you're probably wondering, do I need an agent, Tim? You explained a lot of great stuff, and I'm very thankful. Now I know and I feel confident I can go buy a new home. Is there anything that you can really do for me to help? Yes, hear me out. First and foremost, it's a negotiation process, whether it's before or during. You might be asking, well, what takes place before? Twice, I have put in offers. Even though typically you get a sample contract mailed to you and you buy the house for the price that they offer. In 2018, once, and then also at the end of 2020, twice. Those 2 times, we put in an offer that was lower than what they asked for, and they accepted it. Why was this and how did this happen? Well, I don't know if you realize, but in summer of 2018, that was when the interest rate went up to 5%, when it had been 3.5%, 4% for a long time. They weren't able to sell homes as well. And then October 2022 was also the time period where prices took a dip after interest rates skyrocketed from 3 to 7%. But I don't think I have seen that or happening anytime soon again. They still have incentives, but a lot of times it's buying down the rate. So that's the main thing. But I've negotiated on pricing and also with inspection items. When some things that they think that shouldn't be done, I've pushed and got them done. Another thing is timing. Sometimes it looks like they're not going to close on time. And one time I told a contractor, this trim needs to be painted. We're closing today. I need this done now. And he was like, okay. He didn't realize the time that he had, which was very limited. Another thing that I bring value is helping you to facilitate in choosing great upgrades for your house. Ultimately, it's up to you. I get it. I may offer a suggestion that, hey, this tier 3 backsplash will add value to your kitchen. This color hardwood may add value to your whole house so that if and when you decide to sell the home, you will get the maximum resale value. Also, another thing is knowing the pros and cons of every builder. For example, Meritage Homes has the foam insulation, which is seen by some to be superior to the fiberglass insulation because it's more durable, long-lasting, and more effective. There's a lot of other things, though, that I know about other builders, so that's another reason why you'd want to work with me. Another reason is that I have connections to the best loan officers, aka mortgage lenders, inspectors, contractors. While you're getting pre-approved, I've got the best lender to help you do that. That while you're doing the inspection, that I have the best inspector in Atlanta that can be very thorough in the process. That even after closing and after your 1-year home warranty expires, that I have contractors that you can call that are very reliable, reasonably priced, and will do the job well for anything, whether it's plumbing, electrical, heating and air, or general handyman. Another thing that I add value is being actively there on the home site to take pictures. Now, if you're coming from out of state buying a new construction home and you only saw it once while you're there at the sales office while going under contract, or saw rendered photos online, those are the only things that you had to go off of. Or if I had one client, for example, bought a home and they're moving from South Atlanta to here in Northeast Atlanta for the school district. As their kids were growing older, they wanted to put them in a better school district. I was going over there, taking pictures of the inside and the outside, videos, and sending them to my client on a weekly basis or maybe twice a month basis for 5 months, so that they didn't have to do the long trek to go up there and see it themselves, and they felt comfortable at getting all the updates. And simply put, just being your advocate. You saw how thorough this video was. This is how I would explain it to every one of my buyers. And really just understanding the process from slab, foundation, all the way to closing. I'm very familiar with the process, and also having good relationships with a lot of these new construction builders. So, do you need an agent to purchase a new construction house? Yes. I hope I could be your agent. I hope this video has been helpful. Again, you can call, text, email me, however you want to get a hold of me to buy a home. Even if it's selling a home, I do everything, resale, new construction, whatever it is. So I hope this video has been helpful. I know it's a really long one, probably my longest yet, but I want to cover everything possible. Hey guys, so even though I wanted to cover everything about new construction in this video, it got to be a bit too long. So this is part one of a two-part series on how to buy a new construction home here in the state of Georgia. So you definitely want to check out part two, as I put the link in the description below as well as in the link above. So make sure to check it out because there's a lot to the process of buying a new construction. And even though I covered a lot in this one, there's still a lot more to consider. So be sure to check that out. Catch you on that next video.